Hello, thank you for joining the Yandex 2020 conference. My name is Vadim. I am a network architect at MTS, and today I'm going to tell you about our tasks as a network operator, the challenges that we are facing and our current solution, and other processes which are connected with network automation. We have a multi-vendor network which consists of Cisco, Juniper, Huawei, Nokia, and we also have a large stack of protocols. Our main goal is service automation. By services, I mean automation of business processes in order to be more client-oriented. I'm talking about a connection of B2B clients, and to automate our services, we need several stages. Stage one is document management standardization, which is a complex and important task because we need to standardize all the document operations. The second level is automatic control of a network design. Before changing configurations automatically, we need to learn how to read it and compare them with template parameters. The third phase is migration. The fourth one is automatic testing, because changes in any designs, templates, rules, or equipment should be tested automatically in a lab. And then we have automatic changes in the network. Before automatic changes, we need to carry out semi-automatic changes in order to minimize risks and avoid mistakes. And then there is an important stage, that is integration with internal systems, because the operator already has different systems, and we need to integrate these changes with the existing systems. And after that, we are ready to automate this service. Let's look at a general solution architecture. It's not very different from basic examples or common examples, but here I can identify some commands and four different levels. The first level is the network level with our existing network, which is the responsibility of a network team. The second one is the orchestrator team, which provides information to the network, controls change in it, and is responsible for changes in the network. For example, VPLS and others. And this level provides the KPIs for higher levels. The orchestrator team is responsible for development of common services. And there is also a network automation team, which is responsible for automating networks. There is also another element, which is the foundation for automation, because it's responsible for processing the networks of a particular operator and using this network's resources. Right now, we are working with this network by our own, and we have different systems. We also have the system for template storaging, and we have the NPM. This is System Performance Manager, or NPM. We also have the IPAM, that's the system for running IP addresses, and the doc center is the center where relevant documents are stored, such as designs, rules, algorithms, and templates and schemes used at the network. And then I will tell you more about our services. On the fourth level, there is the service action level, which is responsible for working with clients, and it also has a backend, which is responsible for other things, and there is also a service engine, which gives you user authentication, login, and it ensures security procedures. And this service also automates the workflow. Before implementing this solution, you need to understand that automation is a certain process. This slide shows different levels with different commands. For example, there is the network automation team, which is responsible for automation of the network. And it's very important that all the teams work together, which is why I would like to talk about a new operator, that is service support. Of course, it's important to implement and install the necessary software, which is why you need to have several zones. There is a development zone where software is developed and debugged, the tester zone, and the productive zone, the most responsible one. That's when the software starts working on a real network. And along with the server and network resources, it's important to work together with vendors. And right now we are piloting these solutions together with our partners. And we started by preparing documentation. It turns out that it's very difficult to manage documentation. It's hard to agree on changes in it, which is why we decided to move towards the so-called Jinja2 format. We create special changes in the GitLab, and then those changes are approved by different departments by using merge request. And then those changes go to the documentation center, and they are accessible to users. As a result, we would like to meet the following requirements to documents: support of the relevant version. All employees working with the network can get relevant documents on a centralized basis. We can control who changed what and when in the documents. We use machine-readable formats. This is important because, unfortunately, with time it becomes very difficult to check PDF documents, which is why we move to a machine-readable format. A centralized data source. We use a lab and a breakdown format, and as a result, we have a site with relevant documents, and several developers need to work on documents together, and our current format allows it, and we also want to control access to documents. As I mentioned earlier, we need to check what's happening in the network right now, which is why we focused on reports about design deviations. And we started to put together a database, and we are having a special project in order to collect the necessary information about the network. Here you have information about ports, interfaces, services, devices, scaling, parameters, and so on. The important thing is that we started storing all the information regarding different vendors, and we can take an overall solution regardless of the vendor as a result. You can tell me, but Vadim, this is a normal system which is implemented by many different companies. Yes and no. Yes, it's a multi-vendor system. Right now it has 5 network vendors, 3 RLL vendors, and it meets our needs in terms of data processing. It's integrated with our systems at the company. And since we developed this system, we can change the functions easily in it. And right now, this system is a key component for implementing this network in the future. I already mentioned that we are developing a process for running templates. They are located in the gold config system. At the beginning, we need to prepare the input data. It can be a form on the website or something else. And then we need to prepare a configuration template. For that, I only need 7 parameters: region, vendor, device type, software, hostname, loopback, and NNI. I send those parameters to a generator, which sends a request to the database that stores all the parameters. And then a data set is formed with all the parameters. Then this data set is sent to Jinja2, and then we have a configuration that could be tested automatically or sent to the user. As we work with templates, there are different variables which need to be identified, which is why on this slide you can see examples of those data sets, how they are written for different equipment. As a result, it's much easier to maintain this system. Another template problem is that templates are very different. You need to be able to choose a template depending on the type of the vendor, type of device, software version. And we resolve this problem by storing the templates in NetLab. And then we store variables based on the connection principle. That is, every variable is linked to the type of region, type of vendor, and so on. This slide shows different variables for the Huawei vendor. The data is collected in the config database, and as the generator sends a request, the variables go back to the database and form a data set that you can see on the screen. And then this data set is sent to the Jinja2 template, and a configuration is formed there. Look at the description field. This is how we link this system with other systems for automatic checking. As a result, we control the variables, we manage the input data for the equipment, and we prepare configurations and templates. As a result, we implement the standard approach to variables in the configuration. We have the master system. There is not much complex logic in those templates. We avoid variable hard code. Our variables are stored in different levels, and we also ensure the generation of configuration. Everything I mentioned today is used successfully in order to automate a service. In our case, I'm talking about the automatic integration between the network and a node, which means that as soon as a node is connected to the network, there is magic. The node is switched to the network automatically. But for that, several stages need to happen, such as network planning, assembly, and switching of the new equipment, the automatic setting of the new node, resetting and testing. Let's look at this process. As we plan a new node, our variables can be chosen at zip engine. I'm talking about different parameters such as the region, name, like for configuring new equipment. At this stage, we also add network DBs, we add new ports, and then we send a request to the orchestrator. And the orchestrator should reset the network. And we use the existing nodes in order to set up the interface, and then we are waiting for the new node to start working, and we check whether it has appeared. After the new device is connected, the orchestrator sets up the new node, then it reconfigures the existing nodes, and then the orchestrator tests the new node, and we have an automatic node which got automatically connected to our network. Right now, we are getting ready for implementing this node in the network, and in the fourth quarter of this year, we are going to implement this system. To conclude, we need to automate our services, and for that purpose, we started additional services such as documentation center and others, and we are ready to launch several cases, and I hope that we will succeed in the future. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Vadim. There are a lot of questions, as usual, because this is a very interesting topic. So we have enough time. We have the first question from Roman. What's the configuration of the workflow and what engine do you use? Well, the workflow is implemented on the free work from Apache. I can tell you more about it elsewhere. Right now, I'm focusing mostly on those services that need to be automated. At the ISP systems level, well, this level is developed by professional developers with various solutions. I'm not familiar with their architecture, but I know that an Apache solution is used. But my presentation focuses on what communication operators need before automating their network. And that's what I said before. Thank you. The next question. Do you use Cisco solutions in the automation stack? And if yes, how do you integrate them? Yes, we are piloting the Cisco MSO product. Before that, we looked into other systems, but we chose the Cisco system, or the Cisco orchestrator, and we are now using it as a system to get relevant data from the network. And it also ensures the service logic of a network service. That is, it's fully compatible with the equipment, and it is fully responsible for that equipment. So we gave that function to the orchestrator, but the entire logic has been moved to a higher level. All right, but did you want to write something of your own here? Answer, well, initially, yes. But practice shows us that at the beginning it seems to be quite simple. But as soon as you start going deeper into the vendor stack, protocol stack, and you have to write a lot of things, you have to study very thoroughly many other elements. One vendor has 5 of those elements at one company. That's what we've been facing. So in principle, it is possible to write an orchestrator, but at what cost? So we have chosen another approach. We decided to outsource this level to those who do this professionally, who have a lot of experience, who have been around the block. Thank you very much. 1 second, please. So how do you test the configuration? Do you have a pipeline? Well, that's a good question. I got it. Well, look. Let me show it. So what stages do we have when testing? We have the world config system, which contains templates. So we go through this workflow, and we put the templates into here, and we know how to generate them. It all goes very well. And then we submitted the parameters of what we want to generate here, for example.
So it means that we generate the configuration, so we go step by step, hop by hop, and when we get the clear text of configuration, we have data about the type of the text. We see the configuration on the screen. We can see that where we may automatically send a questionnaire to the Palm or use any other methods, put that into the box, get a feedback from it to understand what actually is there, what is not there. And this is how we check the template. So in future we have plans for more sophisticated configurations with topologies, etc. But at the moment we are focusing on the generation and just checking how the configuration is built. A question from Rosa. The template describes the configuration of the node. How the services actually would be described? Look, actually have to divide that. I wanted to include that into the presentation. You have to divide the network services, differentiate between the network services and other services. So the basic station service includes the setting of the port, setting of DRF. This is something you have to actually split and to implement step by step. I've drawn an example again of the configuration. When we have some typical templates for vendors, they are agreed in terms of the providers and support. And then, proceeding from these right templates, we would build the services which are actually define the business logics. And we store separately something for the network and for the business logics of the service. Next question. We are still not out of time, so Vadim, stay with us. Yes, I'm ready for that. Who is used as an orchestrator? Anton asks, how config actually has been flooded through the existing network or not? This is about the delivery method. Unfortunately, well, I don't think that the operator could not afford out-of-band management because it would be a simultaneous network. Therefore, we are using just fallbacks. Okay. And that's why actually I would like to stress that this part of the productive area is very important because, God forbid, we lose something there. That's very important. My question, can you make commit confirmed or not? Well, this role is being played by an orchestrator. It has to identify that moment, but it will not allow for commit. If something goes wrong, actually, it will just abstract the commit. Question from Rosa about the change of the template. Actually, will it be replaced or substituted with the protnet? Actually, we're thinking about that, but we're not ready for that because this route is quite long, lengthy, and again, from the very beginning, I said that you have to go through all those processes. So once we actually got through there, when we change the documentation, then you have to make a report, and you have automatically either to manually bring the network to what we have changed and move forward. From bottom up, through the same workflow which merges in the configurator. Before that, this was not the case. Next question. Do you deploy the virtual topology of your networks? We'd like to do that, but unfortunately, first of all, the vendors who are supporting the virtual environment, Jupyter, Nokia, and Cisco, they do not allow for costs, and there are some vendors which do not support VMs, and this is a disadvantage for them, I think. In that case, actually, we'd like it to be, but not. No. Okay. On that slide, I would like to highlight lab devices. For the operator, the new feature would be about actually maintaining a lab with all hardware toolkits so that you could check whether T is changed, or plates are changed, or chips are changed. And that's why you have to have a lab. The network diagrams, are they used and are they updated? Yes, really, we store that information in the network DB. And there are special interfaces there, and we have an opportunity to get the topology. And most importantly, we can somehow reconcile two nodes. And this is rather important in terms of controlling the configuration. We may check the VDP and radio relay is also the case. And HTA network actually has the same feature. No one actually can move the relay and other systems into the same logics. Okay, Vadim, thank you so much. Okay, answer the questions on the chat. Thank you so much for your answers. And really, there are more questions, and visit our chat and answer the questions. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was really very interesting. Thank you for coming. The feeling is mutual. Bye.